So a quick look at the trade for Isaiah Wilson and the value I think we're going to get from it. In his first year at Georgia Bulldogs, he redshirted, which means he had to sit the year out. And then he was a starter for the next 2 years. It was a little bit surprised when he declared, as he still had 2 years eligibility left. And I think that he probably would have benefited from staying there. Isaiah Wilson is 6'7" and £350, and I think that's why his draft stock caught fire and he ended up being drafted in the first round by the Titans. But let's look at why that was. Okay, so I'll pull these stats down to try and get a look at why he was drafted so highly. I've compared them to Austin Jackson, who we drafted in the same year, in the same class. You can see that actually, in terms of measurables, they're both quite close together. Austin Jackson had a little bit quicker three cone drill. Offensive linemen traditionally don't do the 20-yard shuttle or the 60-yard shuttle. But it's worth noting that Isaiah Wilson was outside the top 15 in bench press, three cone drill, and 20-yard shuttle, as was Austin Jackson. And for the broad jump, Isaiah Wilson was the 13th ranked lineman. As we saw from Austin Jackson this year, early in the season, his manoeuvrability wasn't great getting downfield. And I really think that teams fell in love they turned a blind eye to all the measurables, and they fell in love with his 6'7", 350-pound frame, and 35-inch span. That's a long arms. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some film. I'm just going to show it to you from the point of view of my experience. I'm just going to, does he get the job done? Yes, great, move on. If not, we'll look at why it go into some of the techniques. So going to be it's going to be quite technique heavy. So let's go into film. So now we're just going to look at film. This is taken straight from the SEC Championship game. For those who don't know about college, this was a heavyweight title match last year. LSU, from this LSU team in yellow, they had 14 players across offense and defense drafted in the NFL in the first 3 days of the draft, which tied, I think it was Ohio's record for the number of players drafted. Anyhow, so let's have a look at Mr. Wilson. So here we are here. This is Isaiah here. First thing to notice is that whilst he's not in a three-point stance, his chest is quite low to his knees. So all his weight is going forward. So traditionally, I would say this was a run play. So let's just see how it works out. Motion. Again, let's look at, this is the player here. So, okay, lateral, so it's a zone step. He attacks the defender. Pass pro, good job on pass pro. Good hands, a little bit leaning there at the end, which would concern me. It would open up to the push-pull. Incomplete pass. All right, so let's look at the next play. Sorry, normally I'd have a clicker or be able to edit this, but because it's straight off the internet, we're just going to have to jump through it. Okay, so interestingly, notice the change of stance. Heels off the ground, butts up, head down. I would say this is going to be a run the whole way. Balances out, heels down. Okay, so he's anchored himself. I still think this is going to be a run. So here we go, inside run. Okay, good first step. See how he's quicker than, these are all the other linemen. This is also a first round draft pick. And this is the left guard, is someone that we would recognise as Dolphins fans. It's I've forgotten our first round draft pick. It's Flowers, who we played at right guard. Obviously not first round draft pick because we got Tua. But this is a good drive block. Now he's driven the lineman off the line. This is clearly a win. There's a little bit of aggression there at the end. This is 350 pounds moving someone. So on second down, regardless of the outcome of the play, and he keeps on the block. So this is what offensive, let's just have a look at that full speed. Gets into him, aggressive, one arms him. That's a good job. Okay, so now, despite keying it was a run, let's jump on to the next third down. So this is the first third down of the game. Georgia need to stay on the field. LSU have Joe Burrow. They've got a very high-powered. Offense. So here's our guy here, Mr. Wilson. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so I think it again pass pro. Okay, so he's backpedaling, really does nothing. He's not required to do anything. Someone runs past him. That's just not a good job from Georgia. But there's a flag down. So what is the flag? Okay, here we see better angle actually. He actually doesn't, he does his job regardless of the outcome of the play. Okay, so automatic first down. Georgia is still on the field. Let's just get back into it. All right, here we go. Again, not a 3-point stance. Personally, I'm not a fan of that. So he's got someone head up over him. Outside. All right, here we go. Now, this is a zone block. The defender's helmet's slightly lower than his. So, okay, the defender's got leverage on him now. He's fully extended. He's lost his leverage, which means that the defender is under him. He has position. So he's unable. He's 350 pounds, let's not forget. So whilst we saw something good early on in terms of head-up drive blocking, he isn't able to clear the defender. Whilst you can see his numbers, which means he's walled the player off from the play, he hasn't been able to shift the defender. That's the defenders won that one really. A stalemate on the D-line is a win for the defense. Grant Delpit, what a player. Okay, so there's so many good players, offensive linemen drafted up from this Georgia line. Let's have a look. All right, so now it's 2nd and 9. Any difference? I think this is going to be pass pro. Now, in terms of, look at this tackle, 71, drafted to the Giants. His weight is already back a little bit. His weight is over his feet, which means he's able to kick back in pass pro, whereas Mr. Wilson's weight is slightly forward, so it's going to be tougher for him to get back. All right, good first step, but he's still quite compact. Really doesn't have to do anything here. The defender doesn't put a move on him. That's straightforward, so that's a win there. Now let's have a look at the next one. All right, so this is 3rd and 9. Big win, must be a big win. All right, he's set back for pass. This kid's keying the plays. So right now, he's going to try and block number 9, speed rusher. So kicks back, looks good. All right, that's a desperation play. If we look at it again, so right now he kicks back here, his shoulders are square, so this is good body stance. So as we work through, he's kicking back. Right now, he's turned his shoulders. He has to, he's given a big target to that defensive end. He has to engage, but the defender dips and rips, gets under him, and it's only 350 pound that pushes him off. That's not ideal. So just in the first series, I think it's very hit and miss. Personally, I think with 7th round draft pick, it's an absolute steal. If it takes him a couple of years to work out and get better, I think that's also good. I think he's going to provide depth, but I don't think, I'd be very, very surprised if he produced next year for us, other than in replacement situations. So looking forward to seeing what he does, and fully worth the 3rd round draft pick.